You know, the global beauty industry is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And let's be real, a huge part of that is all about one thing: attracting a partner. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. What men find attractive and what women find attractive, they can be two totally different things. So that's the big question we're tackling today. Why is it that men and women seem to be looking at attraction through completely different lenses? I mean, it causes so much confusion, right? In dating, in relationships, and you definitely see it all over the media. All right, let's get into it.
And hey, this isn't just some abstract idea. You can literally see it happening right now on social media. Take this TikTok creator, for example. He put up a poll with two different looks, and the results were, well, pretty shocking. Women were almost all for one look, while the guys overwhelmingly picked the other. It's the perfect snapshot of this attraction gap. So, what's really going on here? Well, one of the biggest theories actually takes us way, way back in time. We're talking about our deep, ancient survival instincts. And the first way we're going to look at this is through the lens of something called evolutionary psychology.
Okay, so you probably remember learning about Darwin's finches in biology class, right? How their beaks changed over time to survive better? Well, evolutionary psychology is kind of like that, but for human behavior. The idea is that our modern tastes, what we look for in a partner, aren't just random. They're basically echoes of ancient survival strategies that helped our ancestors, not die and successfully pass on their genes.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? Down at the biological level. A guy can produce something like 525 times billion sperm in his life. A woman, on the other hand, is born with all the eggs she'll ever have. So right there, the biological investment is just on a completely different planet. An encounter for a guy could be, a few minutes. For a woman, it could lead to a 9-month pregnancy. So it's no surprise this creates two totally different game plans. Play the numbers game or be really, really selective. So how does this actually play out in the real world? Well, check this out. There was this classic social experiment where an attractive person went up to strangers on a college campus and just straight up asked them, "Would you have sex with me?" The results were absolutely mind-blowing. 75% of the men said yes, and the women, not a single one. 0. That's a huge difference. And all this leads to very different priorities. A fascinating study by Norman Lee basically asked people what their must-haves versus their nice-to-haves are in a partner. For men, physical attractiveness often landed in the must-have category. Evolutionarily speaking, this is like a quick shortcut to check for health and fertility. But for women, status and resources tended to be the must-have. It's a signal that a partner can provide for and invest in a family.
And you see this everywhere in media that's aimed at a male audience. The male gaze's love interest, right? Her main job is to be physically attractive. Her personality is usually something like, oh, she's not like other girls, she's one of the guys. She's basically eye candy, even if it makes zero sense for the story, like wearing short shorts on a dangerous jungle adventure. A modern example, think about the whole gamer girl archetype.
Okay, now let's flip the script. The female gaze love interest. This guy isn't about raw physical dominance. It's all about signaling that he'd be a good dad and partner. He's less about being a giant muscle man and more of a Prince Charming. Strong but also sweet, sensitive, and nurturing. Think about someone like Timothée Chalamet. Fans don't just talk about his looks, they talk about him being humble, approachable, and talented. It's a whole different package.
Okay, so that's the version you see all over TikTok, right? Male gaze versus female gaze. A simple battle of what guys and girls like. But is that really what the male gaze is all about? Because the original idea, where the term actually comes from, is way deeper and a lot more critical.
To really get it, we've got to go back to its roots in academic film theory.
So, the year is 1975. A feminist film theorist named Laura Mulvey coins the term. And let me tell you, she was not writing an article for a dating column. Her essay was a powerful critique of who holds the power in Hollywood. She argued that the way movies are made, the camera angles, the storytelling, forces all of us, men and women alike, to see the world through the eyes of a straight man.
And this is the absolute key. The original male gaze isn't just about finding someone attractive. It's about power and perspective. It's about when the camera itself becomes the male viewer, and it frames women as passive objects to be looked at. It creates a dynamic where men are the ones who do things, and women are the ones who are simply seen. They're not the main character, they're the prize or the scenery in the main character's story.
And look, this isn't just some dusty old academic theory. When you repeat this perspective over and over and over in movies, TV shows, and ads, it starts to have very real consequences in the real world.
So here's how it works. Step 1, the man is the hero, the doer, the person looking. Step 2, the woman is the object, the prize, the person being looked at. Step 3 is where it gets tricky. It actually teaches women to see themselves through that outside lens, to constantly worry about how they look to others. And the final result? It props up these old-school stereotypes and power structures.
This quote from Very Well Mind really just hits the nail on the head. It's not just about what's on screen. It's about who's controlling the story. The male gaze basically says a woman's purpose in the story is to be a supporting character, or just something for the hero to look at.
And the impact of this is no joke. Seriously. Studies have found real links between this kind of objectification in media and a rise in depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and even eating disorders. Think about it. Living your life feeling like you're constantly being judged on your appearance. That takes a massive toll.
Okay, so we've got these two very different ideas of what the gaze is. So what does this all mean for you? How do we make sense of it?
Let's put them side by side. The evolutionary lens, that's like a biological framework. It's trying to explain what we find attractive and why. The feminist theory lens, that's more like a sociological or cultural framework. It's not about what, it's about how media shows us things and the power behind that. They're two different tools in the toolbox, both trying to understand the same thing from different angles.
But here's the thing, and this is the really important part. It's not all just biology or media brainwashing. That same study that talked about necessities, it found that both men and women ranked kindness and intelligence as absolute must-haves. And when you look at who people actually end up with, it's usually someone with similar values, a similar education. We're not just robots running on ancient programming. That must-have level for looks or money, it's different for every single one of us.
So what we have to remember is that those characters we see in movies, the supermodel who falls for the regular guy, the perfect, sensitive boyfriend who has no flaws, that's all a fantasy. It's wish fulfillment. It's designed to make us feel good, to let us see a flawed hero win the ultimate prize. And it's fun. But we have to remember, it's just entertainment. It's not a user's manual for real life.
So that leaves us with one final question for you. We've talked about the evolutionary gaze and the critical gaze. You now have these two new lenses to look through. The real question is, now that you can see them, how is it going to change the way you watch TV, scroll through your phone, and just see the world around you?